is getting something for Ziv in the top lane. He is the weak side top laner. He's the one that's going to be taking the beating as Rogue Warriors play elsewhere in the map. So I like that they first picked the Renekton here, get him something he's safe and comfortable on that top side of the map. Whereas on the FPX side, I think they'll be putting their attention towards bot side. When we've seen how weak the Rogue Warriors bot side has been, it makes sense to go for these 4-man plays. When I see already, though, with the draft, Renekton opens up the opportunity to go towards a Nidalee here for Haro if they want to. Haro and Ziv have looked really good in that combination. On the opposite side, though, you're seeing the Taliyah come through with that early Kaisa for Lwx.
Yeah, it feels good to see that, as especially Lwx on this Kaisa. This is, remember, one of the premier champions that was in the meta when he won the World Championship. So it feels good. Feels like he's back home on those kind of picks. We've got the Alistar and Lillia coming through on the side of Rogue Warriors. They're drafting a full animal squad on this side. We've pretty much got a zoo on the side of Rogue Warriors. Then the Leona locked out for the side of FPX.
Yeah, so basically just trading supports back and forth. Alistar and Leona kind of been the two premier supports on this patch. The interesting one for me, though, is kind of the global pressure that you offer with the Taliyah here. So when you're looking towards this top lane, as you want to be playing towards this Renekton at least early with the Lillia to utilize that level 2, level 3 spike, you can offer a little bit of safety there with the Taliyah if you want to try and get up that direction. But as we're going in towards our next ban phase, Samira taken off the board, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like the Jhin taken off the board here for Rogue Warriors as well, or maybe even the Misfortune, just to give an easier time towards Lwx in this bottom lane.
Yeah, there's even a conversation to be had about the Xayah being banned, but whether or not we're willing to go into the ban category for Xayah at this point, she's been creeping into the meta. It is feeling more like we're getting into Xayah Kaisa meta once again, but whether or not that happens, it's going to be Tristan taken off the board instead. As we saw, Jace banned away from Nuguri, and Rogue Warriors could just focus out Nuguri here and try and take two really strong top laners off the board.
I'm wondering if they're going to ban the Ornn here. I think you've got the opportunity to set up for a pretty strong team fight if you're on FPX's side, but also the ability to separate these fights with the Taliyah Weaver's Wall is really, really good. So I'm curious to see exactly what they want to go for here.
Kellin.
The FPX have also left counterpick to Doinb in like 80% of their games so far. So I imagine here that we're going to see the top laner locked in for Nuguri, and then you can still hold on to that counterpick for Doinb, where he's been comfortable bringing out stuff like the Victors, the Oriannas, but also going back towards his Rumbles and these kind of things.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one as well, because you'd love, like, Nuguri individually, I'm sure would love to play Kellin here, because it's great to Renekton and it's good in team fights, but you already have a Taliyah. You don't really want to go for an AP top laner while you have that AP jungle. So goes for the Gangplank instead. Still a great matchup into the Renekton. What do you want to see here, though, Dagda, from the side of Rogue Warriors?
I actually would have potentially preferred the Misfortune here. I can see them hovering back and forth and also deciding. I think the Misfortune gives you a nice mid-game spike you can play around, especially when your composition has been pretty heavily tailored towards it with the Lillia and the Renekton and the 1 to 2 item spike you can get there. However, they decide to go towards the more late game scaling AD carry, which means they'll probably need to go towards something like the Syndra or even potentially the Zoe in this mid lane here, so that then they can have something that gives them a little bit more breathing room in these mid-game fights.
Yep, the Xayah has been something incredibly strong, but now on towards the mid laners for both sides, and Forge goes for this Akali. This is something he's played a ton of in the past, and it's something that he's looked pretty damn good on as well. We finally get it through a ban phase. We've had it banned pretty much exclusively in the LPL.
Yeah, and I mean, it's why I wasn't really considering is that I just assume at this stage it's banned, but it's definitely in Forge's wheelhouse. Forge has looked best on Assassins. Like, literally from all of last year, the standard performances were the Akalis, the Sylases. So the fact that Forge is managing to get this is really, really good. But it does mean that you're on the little bit of the back foot in that mid lane. So with the pressure that this Lillia wants to be able to exert, like getting into the enemy side of the jungle, but now you've got a losing bot side, you've got a losing mid lane matchup as well. So expect Haro to be playing pretty heavily towards this top side of the map to try and exploit the one winning lane that he has. Whereas for Tian, you've got like pretty easy gank setup in this bottom side. You've got Doinb, who should be able to roam very effectively on this mid lane. Ryze, I'm expecting FPX to put a lot of attention in the early stages into this 4-man dive bot, and then transition into a strong mid-game focused composition.
And doesn't that just feel so retrospective for FPX? Isn't that basically what they did so consistently in that World Championship that they managed to win for themselves. When you look across the board, this is pretty much that composition. We've even got the FPX Gangplank. It's not the same player, but it's the same champion. It's the same style that we were so used to seeing from FPX. It didn't feel like they had that same identity last year. Maybe this is kind of a renaissance for them. Maybe this is them coming back into their own and leaning back into that old style.
Yeah, and it's the best way to play around the picks that we're starting to see on Rogue Warriors. Like, the likes of this Akali can't really follow, so hey, let's just shove in the wave as this Ryze and let's go make these plays elsewhere on the map. It's how you can oftentimes get these leads against an Akali before she's able to get up towards that first item and really have a big impact in the game.
Well, Dagda, it's about time that we kick this chaos off. We have some exceptional matchups here. The Akali versus Ryze in the mid lane. Both players on somewhat signature champions that they've had incredible success on in the past. And now I get to see them go head to head as we head onto Summoner's Rift for Rogue Warriors against FPX. And remember, this early in the season, every single game is going to matter. Every single matchup is so crucial as these guys want to fight for their place in the standings, especially with how topsy-turvy the league has been. You can hear the crowd is here in force. They're ready for this series, and I am as well, Dagda. But let's just take a minute here before the action starts and go through some of these lane matchups that we've got. Because certainly in the top side, you're expecting that lane phase to go pretty heavily in favor of Nuguri.
Exactly, and I don't think Nuguri... the lane phase can go in favor of Nuguri, but I think in this situation, you're going to have Tian pathing down towards that bot side to set up these early plays that we were talking about. So I think Nuguri will actually let this wave push into him, try and play safe underneath his tower, and not give the opportunity for Rogue Warriors with Haro starting on this bot side and pathing up to actually go for this early level 3 dive. So I think in the early stages, definitely Nuguri keeping it safe as Tian plays around bot side.
Okay, so on the side of Rogue Warriors then, if we expect FPX to be the ones making their way towards the bottom side, and you can see Tian has started on his red buff, so it's very likely that he will be pathing down towards that bottom side of the map. What's the call for Haro here? Is it to match, or is it to, try and counter jungle? What's the play?
For Haro, it's definitely trying to answer for a cross-map play. Like, the pathing that he's going here, because he's going from red to Krugs into his top side, means that he hasn't really got an opportunity to play in towards this bot side and try and go for some sort of counter plays. So he needs to try and make something work for Ziv in top side, because there's a high chance here, as Tian pass bot, Doinb crashes that third wave, he can roam down into this bottom lane if they want to, off of the wave reset and try and make something happen.
We'll see if there's an opportunity to go for that play, as you can see Tian now moving towards his bottom quadrant of the map. And certainly when it comes to Scuttle Crabs, it looks like it'll be one apiece for our two junglers. When it comes to the mid laners, though, we have pretty dramatically different spikes in the game, because even though in terms of items, as Nuguri takes a hefty chunk there in the top side, certainly in terms of items, you'd expect Ryze to be kind of the later game carry, but hang on, we got a TP down in the bottom side here. Already a dive coming through. Doinb onto the map. Here comes Tian as well. But it's actually First Blood going the opposite way. Rogue Warriors with a beautiful answer here. Lwx goes down as well. And Rogue Warriors are on top of the chaos.
Gorgeous play from Rogue Warriors. So we already talked about how this was exactly what FPX was setting up, but in the top lane, because Nuguri had taken a step back and given Ziv a lot of control in that lane, Ziv's able to get the TP, get that play turned around, and it's 2 kills over in favor of Rogue Warriors. Beautifully read from this squad.
And I was about to set up that Ryze can go for these plays at level 6. I was not expecting the teleport underneath the tower at level 3, but Doinb punished for that one, as it was actually Rogue Warriors that managed to win the trade in the end. And Forge is going to be happy with the way that started off.
Yeah, I like the way Ziv is playing this, though, because look, he's already in a losing matchup, and he's just said, look, this is not going to go well for me. I need to make sure that FPX are winning elsewhere in the map, so that then I'm not useless. So he's sacrificing his own lane here to make sure they can turn this play around. And because the kill went over on towards the Leona and not onto Never mind. Actually, never mind that point. I thought Michi had gone down first, but Michi doesn't get a lot of these CS, so you're basically trading advantages with Nuguri having much more control on the top side of the map, whereas because Michi still went down, although they get the kills, he's behind in CS and gold.
And now, because Nuguri was able to TP back towards that top side here, keep your eyes on those top lane CS numbers. Now there's a Sheen in the pocket of Nuguri, so suddenly that lane matchup becomes a little bit more difficult for the likes of Ziv, because obviously the Sheen does proc on the barrels as well, so you get that extra damage coming on through. So Gangplank can now start to harass a little bit more. The more levels Gangplank gets, the harder this gets for Ziv. So keep your eyes on the CS numbers. Same can be said for the mid lane as well. Obviously Doinb managing to get back to that lane a little bit earlier, and you can see 10 CS advantage for him.
Yeah, I want to go back to the top lane though, because you can see just how horrible this matchup is. Because you've got the Grasp of the Undying, you can proc so easily with the parlays. Nuguri, Ziv is just being poked out continuously. And even when you try and go aggressive, you've still got the remove scurvy. So part of the combo from Ziv is, hey, let's stun and make it easy so they can't trade back. You just remove that as the Gangplank. It's like, all right, well, good luck to you, bud. I've got an orange versus your big old, I don't know, axe slash whatever that thing Renekton carries.
Glaive, I believe.
Okay, perfect, yeah. But either way, it's a horrible matchup. However, you can see Haro, we talked about this, if these bot lane plays are going to be happening continuously for FPX, try and get some help for Ziv in this top lane who can set you up.
Well, the help is on the way. That's going to be a stun coming through. Nuguri's level 6 though, and Ziv is certainly not, but it's maybe going to matter. Flash away from Nuguri. Can he survive this one? Haro, Swirl Seed about to come up. Doesn't quite connect it though, and Nuguri walks away.
Just about able to get away from that one. That Swirl Seed was a dangerous one, but manages to connect onto the tower instead. Still though, FPX playing around this bottom side. They're going to use the fact that you've a reset coming through from Michi and reheal to start, I assume, start up this dragon, especially with Doinb starting to roam down here as well.
Yeah, I mean, Haro's up on the top side. He's just showed himself trying to get that kill onto Nuguri. That's the key thing. The fact that Nuguri survives that gank, but Haro shows on the top side, means that FPX immediately can answer with this Drake, start to get that win condition snowballing for themselves. But it has to be said, this, obviously, FPX going for the Drake, fairly expected, right? With the fact that we set up, they're going to play around the bottom side of the map. This is what you should have been expecting coming in. But with how badly that first bot lane play went for the side of FPX, are you expecting a change of strategy coming in here, or should this just continue to play out and hopefully next time goes better?
No, I think you just keep going and hope that next time it goes better. Especially, again, Doinb has so much push power in this lane. If you end up just leaving Doinb in this lane, Forge eventually just outscales and can just play off in a 1-3-1 and have kill pressure onto Doinb. So Doinb right now needs to make these plays happen so that then when we get to the mid portion of the game, FPX still have some semblance of control, because FPX's composition is a little bit more 1-3-1 orientated when you want Tian to be joining in with this Weaver's Wall. So if Doinb's super far behind, it makes it a lot more difficult for him to go up against Forge in this side lane.
I feel like Ryze is the perfect champion for Doinb as well, like thematically. When you look at Ryze and his lore and all the cinematics and stuff, it's like him running around the world trying to find the runes or whatever. And when you look at how Doinb plays Ryze, he is never in the mid lane. He just turns up to the mid lane for the wave, clears that, and then he's just off on the map. He's either stealing wolves away from Tian, or he's like finding a scuttle crab or finding some honey fruit, or roaming to a lane to try and find kills. He is just constantly on the move. He gets to mid lane, shoves the wave, and just gets on out of there.
It's also because Doinb's such a creative guy as well. He can find all these cool ways to use.
Oh, hang on.
Tian,
Ooh, flash out from Tian here as Haro's going to follow through. It's going to be Forge over the wall. There's the knock-up, and goodbye, Tian. There is nothing he could do about that one.
Really well played by Rogue Warriors, bringing that bot lane up, saying, hey, look, I mean, if Doinb is going to keep trying to get out of lane, let's just bring the fight to Doinb. It does mean, though, Lwx gets a lot of time in this tower. He's getting a lot of plates, and it's sacrificing Michi and reheal, which I'm actually not the biggest fan of overall, especially if you want this Xayah to be online for potential team fights. You need this Xayah to be hitting those 3 items. She doesn't just spike as well like this Kaisa does off of the 1 to 2 items.
And this is kind of the classic dichotomy of those two bot lanes as well, right? When we think about Kaisa versus Xayah, historically, it's like, yes, both AD carries scale, but one side, you got a crit AD carry in this Xayah that wants to be on the 3 items before you really get into the teamfight phase. Whereas Kaisa, you can be a little bit more proactive earlier on for a little less power during those team fights. So it's an interesting one. And also, just in the way that they interact individually in the team fights, you've got one that wants to be the aggressor in that Kaisa, or one that's very much a defensive pick for the Xayah.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a weird game. Coming through for the FPX bot lane, just with how the composition works in FPX. We said already that, like, oh, hang on.
Oh, they're going for a 2v2 here. It's Ziv and Reheal, the alligator and the cow, trying to make it happen. But Tian is here, throwing a threaded volley over the wall. And we'll walk away. Haro has that Herald, though. And Michi wants some plates for himself.
Yeah, and they're trying to get this gold back into Michi. So they kind of realize, hey, look, we'll take the sacrifice, but bot lane.
Yeah, we'll realm warp him bot in the meantime. This Herald goes down. Doinb went underneath the tower, but they can't actually get underneath here. Reheal used his Iron Will there. Survives the play. Tower goes down on the top side once again. FPX make a play towards the bot side, and it fails.
And a nice job from Rogue Warriors to defend. I mean, you just burned the ultimate on the Alistar. You're holding on to this tower. Still FPX investing a lot of resources in this bottom lane while you'll get the second charge. You get the quick reset now for Rogue Warriors. And with Dragon in just over a minute, they can get out onto the map and start to get this vision controlled down. Now, for Rogue Warriors, what I was trying to hit on before all the shenanigans bot is Rogue Warriors have a much easier composition to operate in team fights. But when you look at FPX's, it's a little bit more about trying to control the zone with the cannon barrage. You don't want Doinb in a front-to-back team fight because Ryze isn't the best in front-to-back team fights. He ends up putting a lot of front-loaded damage into the tanks, but that's what they're there for. You don't really have the opportunity to get damage on towards the back line. So for FPX's side of things, they want to open up this map, move into that 1-3-1, and then see if they can use the creativity that Doinb has with this Ryze ultimate to find clever ways into the fight.
And it's exciting that we're 4 kills on the board, despite how much action has happened so far this game. And also, when you look at the gold, it is all but dead even between these two teams right now. FPX have constantly tried to make these plays happen bot, and you can see the CS deficit that's come off the back of that, but not kills, not a massive amount of gold for them. And even in the towers, we saw the trade, and it was 5 plates for 5 plates. So far, we're fairly even on the board. Do you think that affects how this game will continue moving forward? Do you think that FPX needed to be massively ahead at this point?
No, I think it's more so about these next couple of dragons and how FPX operate around them. But Rogue Warriors?
Here we go. Crisp going to be on Reheal here. 1v1 as Forge will dash into the play, but turns into the Twilight Shroud here. He's barely got any HP as he just about walks away, but the Cannon Barrage comes down, and Nuguri snags one for himself. Weaver's Wall into the raid to keep everyone in the fight. The barrel's going crazy. Doinb grabs the kill, and it's 3-3 on the scoreboard.
Oh, it's an absolute mess from Rogue Warriors. This is what we were talking about in the early stage. When we opened up the day was Rogue Warriors being all over the places in their engages. Reheal tries to make the play work, but thanks to Crisp, he's not able to, and then Rogue Warriors just fall apart. FPX get the dragon, they get the kills, and this is exactly what we said. Working around these dragons is going to be where FPX can make the difference here.
And really, really beautiful stuff to see from Nuguri as well, getting the kill with the Cannon Barrage. Is maybe just get a realm warp out of there. I think they're going to be okay on this one. But also, you saw the barrels during that team fight. He got a double barrel combo that hit like 2-3 people and chunked people out because he's already got an Essence Reaver for himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty nice coming through overall from FPX, getting that initial kill and getting a lot of that gold on towards Nuguri. The big thing about this team fight that you're going to see, though, here is, look, we get the attempted engage from Reheal. I think it was trying to set up for Forge, but unfortunately, because that doesn't work, it's very easy for FPX to turn onto Forge. This Akali's now out of the fight, and from that point forward, it's a 4 versus 5 as the rest of FPX are able to collapse. Again, using this Weaver Wall to separate Rogue Warriors is going to be crucial in all these upcoming fights. But just that one missed engage, not quite able to set up for Rogue Warriors, and FPX punish as a result.
Really, really nicely done there from FPX, Nuguri especially, but the whole squad working together on that one. The Weaver's Wall as well to corral everyone. Tian basically playing sheepdog in that fight to make sure that Rogue Warriors have to dance to the beat of FPX's drum. Now towards the top side they go. Zib's underneath this tower, but I think that they're going to be okay on this one. Reheal's hanging around as well.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the Weaver Wall, because as we look at FPX's comp, as they move into that 1-3-1, you've got the Weaver's Wall to play this kind of semi-global pressure that can support those side lanes, but also when you're coming in on multiple different angles with TPs and counter barrages, the Weaver's Wall needs to be able to, like, if Forge goes in aggressively, cut off Michi in the backline, cut Haro from getting into these fights. And if that's the case, well, then it becomes much more of a skirmish-orientated fight where FPX can find these advantages. Otherwise, Rogue Warriors in a straight up front to back team fight should have the advantage, especially when they get to that third item, like with Michi in those later points.
As we get towards the 15-minute mark here, second Herald spawning on the map. Still got another couple of minutes until that third Drake, and let's bear in mind, FPX already have 2 on the board, thanks to that priority they've had in the bottom side of the map. They're about 2,000 gold up as well off the back of that last fight, and Rogue Warriors want to answer, as they're going to be the ones on the Herald here. Nuguri on the opposite side of the map, and Forge wants a 1v1, but Nuguri immediately cannons on his location, but he survives once more. The time warp tonic at the last second. And every single time they make a play on Nuguri, he gets away with it.
Just about. However, you can see that it's a little bit dangerous still for Forge in that lane. I like that he's opted in towards the Rift Maker as Lwx.
Yeah, I don't think he can... Oh, he's actually going to go under the tower? Ziv is low, Weaver's Wall across here from Tian. He wants to try and finish off the Croc, but he's locked himself into this fight. Doinb arrives in the realm warp, so he's going to be okay. I was nervous there because Haro was nearby, but Tian gets away with it, and now towards the tower they go.
And you can see the globals just all over the place. You think you've escaped to Ziv, and suddenly there's a realm warp, there's a Weaver's Wall, there's bloody everything coming at you from all sides, and there's nowhere to go. But Doinb might be caught up by heal, reheal.
Yeah, reheal, Hex Flash over the wall, but just immediately takes a face full of magic. That was not the way that reheal wanted that trade to go, but the key thing is he's pushed Doinb away from this tower. That should be enough damage that the Herald can just finish the tower off with the charge. Oh, not quite. But, you know, it's just standing gold at this point. That tower isn't going to do much defending.
Yeah, I think Spidey senses from Doinb tingling a little bit there. You can see he wanted to walk the shortcut and then went, no, I've been given out to by my coach for this before. I'm going to take the correct way, and it saves his life as they're not quite able to catch him. But nice pick here by Lwx onto Ziv. Gets a whole bunch of damage down, and then they're able to finish him off with the Weaver's Wall. Yeah. So they're able to put pressure onto that top side as FPX. And with no answer coming in from Rogue Warriors, again, it's an FPX trading up. And when you're creating these long side lanes for FPX, this is beautiful, because now you get to shove the full way in, keep Forge underneath this tier 2 and bot side, keep Ziv under the tier 2 and top, and again, a dragon in 20 seconds. Right, we just wander over. It's too difficult for Rogue Warriors to try and contest when we've got all the teleport and the global plays.
Dragon's coming up in 10 seconds as well. And it looks like FPX are well and truly in control of that bottom part of the map. Doinb headed back to base, but he has the teleport available, and you fully expect him to get involved in this fray. Already TPing into the mid lane here. So FPX looking for mid priority so they can roam into this river. Reheal is hanging around. I don't think Rogue Warriors want to give this up without a fight, but they're waiting for Ziv's TP. It's about to come off cooldown, but it's coming off cooldown just a tiny bit too late. Dragon down to 2,000. Nuguri's here. Should be able to smite this one away. That's the third Drake, and now FPX, they just want to retreat. They already got the objective. Can they get away with it? Rogue Warriors, they say yes. They decide not to fight. Oh, hang on, Realm Warp though. Maybe they don't have a choice. Crisp is here, Weaver's Wall to corral the team of Rogue Warriors. They're split in two. This is perfect team fighting. A great knock-up, but it's not enough on the side of the Alistar. And now Haro and Forge desperately trying to escape. They will walk away with their lives, but their dignity might not be intact.
This is gorgeous from FPX. This composition is so difficult to execute on. There's so many moving parts that have to be in tandem. And they're bringing that to perfection, especially when you consider, like, Nuguri doesn't speak Chinese. This all has to be translated to Doinb on the team, but this is just one flowing dance for FPX.
They're going for a dive as well. Onto Ziv, in goes Lwx. He is so damn confident on this Kaisa. Look at him going for a 1v2 now. Flashes away, takes a tower shot as well as Haro wants to chase this one down, but he can't get any damage through. Doinb's arrived on the scene now. Michi, Haro, and Reheal, the three-man squad, want to answer for the crimes of FWX? FPX. Forge in the mid lane here as Chris. Doinb has been caught. He's going to go golden, flashes out with his life, gets a good amount of damage down. The rest of FPX, though, not really on the same page, not going to answer for these kills.
Yeah, there's a fine line between being brave and stupid, and I think Lwx had realized he was towing that line a little bit too close for comfort. But unfortunately, he does end up going down in the end. Now, some kills going back in favor of FPX, but still, main takeaway from that is 3 dragons now for FPX, a 4,000 gold lead for this squad. You're getting those second items coming through way faster than you do on the Rogue Warrior side. Like, FPX now are in a position where even in these front-to-back style fights where Rogue Warriors were favored, FPX can now take them pretty handily with the lead that they have.
Yeah, really nice stuff. And just look how confident this FPX team is with their positioning, with how they force these engages.
Yeah, and this is just beautiful. As we're talking about, like, maneuvering around with Doinb, getting very creative with this Ryze ultimate, using that Weaver's Wall to separate Rogue Warriors. This is not an easy thing to do. You've got to coordinate so many different pieces, but it's working beautifully as Rogue Warriors. There's just nothing you can do when you're separated like that.
Nuguri in a 1v1 with Forge as well, managing to take that one down. And you'd expect Akali to be the favorite there. Forge, I think that was a double Zhonya's, if I'm not mistaken, coming out from him. No, just the singular one. It was coming out of a replay. My bad. But I will say, I'm excited about how confident Lwx looks with this Gale Force specifically as well, because Gale Force has become somewhat of a battle cry for FPX. In they go, though, for yet another fight. Reheal's caught out. That Unbreakable Will is not unbreakable any longer. 20 minutes on the clock, and FPX look at Barret.
And this is just gorgeous. They are playing this composition so damn well. Nuguri now moving towards this mid lane just to provide support in case any shenanigans try to happen. But when you've lost your main engage tool as Rogue Warriors, it's easy for FPX to pick up this Baron. Beautiful.
And this is the decision making that we know and love from FPX. What is that barrel damage? In goes Tian for more as well. Has it on his to keep himself safe, and the rest of the team now arriving in the fray. Ziv goes down as Nuguri is on the chase. He's charging along with his flaming sword. He wants to cut them to size, but I don't think he can close the gap. In they go with the Gale Force to take them down. Forge on 1 HP, but he's crit to fall. And a reheal. He doesn't have that Unbreakable Will. He already used it, and he's taken down for the triple.
God damn, I love the new FPX. This is so sick to watch. All these different components working so beautifully together, and seeing just the raw talent that is on this roster. God, this is so good to watch.
And it's the sheer confidence that this squad is playing with. When you look at these plays, every single time halfway through the fight, I think that the play is about to end. And then Lwx will just land a Void Seeker from halfway across the map and just fly into the fray.
And it just feels the perfect meta for FPX, right? You got Kaisa, he's champion in the bottom lane, which is where W was always most comfortable. He was renowned for his feints, his Kaisa, these short range, hyper calculations, and you're sitting in the clip here, what he's able to do. What is what you're looking at in the support role? He's been able to get on playmaking support, be happy up to go for the very roaming calls as well, have big impacts around the map. Just fits FPX down to the...
Yeah. And they can play so proactively as well, which I think is incredibly valuable for FPX, and it feels like that carry role is being given back to the laners once more for them this year. In he goes once more. Mishi is terrified at this point to leave the fountain. He does not get to play League of Legends anymore as Nuguri stunned underneath the tower here. Good bit of damage come down, but the counter barrage means that Ziv has to back away once more. Nuguri survives yet again. Flawless KDA for him as the top lane inhibitor is under siege, but FPX have to back away. Reheal looking for the engagement. Doesn't get the knock up though. Just takes a huge amount of damage for his trouble. The sleep going in onto the squad here. Rogue Warriors in a 4 versus 3, just about winning out this fight, but it's not over just yet. Forge going into the backline, but Lwx has too much damage. How on earth are they going even in that fight? They've got the Mountain Soul, and they are using it so beautifully.
Look at the amount of gold you got off this Baron. It's nearly an 8,000 gold Baron play. They are insane. They are just taking over this game so well against Warrior. And what do you even do? I mean, everything he tried to make work Alistar has been stop. As you can see, they're two going Odin to catch the headbutt. Like, it is heartbreaking. How everything Rogue Warriors do has been shut down so beautifully by FPX.
I wouldn't say it's heartbreaking. I'd say it's a masterclass. I'm loving every second of this game because it's exciting. It's got all the kills that I want out of an LPL game, and it is beautiful gameplay from FPX. This isn't a fiesta. This is incredible snowballing. Tian finds himself an easy solo kill against 2 players. You don't get to see that kind of stuff in other leagues, do you? Now in the mid lane they go as the siege continues. Top lane inhib is open and on barely any HP. They got the pick onto Haro, so there's no way to contest for Rogue Warriors. This is at minimum 2 inhibs right now for FPX. Oh, hang on. Lwx, look at this. This is AD carry dominance. Nuguri executes him with the cannon barrage. His reheal is kicked back onto the fountain. The minion waves are coming in, and this Nexus is in trouble, Dagda.
It's over. It's over, Mud. There's no coming back. FPX. Take it out. This game.
Yeah, Rogue Warrior is just going to be forced onto the fountain. In goes Forge. He wants to find some kind of antics, but it's not happening. Perfect execution back onto the fountain. Speaking of the fountain, the whole FPX squad is apparently about to dive on. Ziv going to be stuck in a Zhonya's, but in the meantime, the minions are going to end the game. FPX, that was the most dominant win we have seen in the LPL this split.
That was masterclass, man. You hit the nail on the head with that. It was just beautiful from start to finish. Obviously, some need to make the first 5 work, but doubling down on this strategy of, hey, let's play towards LWX bot lane, let's get this guy fed, and we can work over into more of a on getting once up, getting these terrors down to create the lane, and from that point forward, just using the mobility we have in the map, take off warriors or just separate them and find these. It's amazing stuff from FPX.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I think you're lagging a little bit there. So just to reiterate, Rob was saying how well FPX used this 1-3-1, but I think a key thing there as well is that for the untrained eye, it might not look like a 1-3-1 situation there because it wasn't this extended split push like a lot of people think of when they think 1-3-1. It was like, get to the side lanes, shove those lanes in. Nuguri maybe stayed in the side lane a long time, but we saw Doinb, we saw LWX just moving out of the lane so quickly, getting into different positions to be able to force these plays and just force that advantage. And even though the early game was close for a little bit, the longer it went on, the more one-sided it got. And FPX, once they got a tiny little lead, once they smelled that blood in the water, they were like sharks devouring their prey. Beautiful stuff out of FPX. We're going to jump into a quick break.